You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 27th, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'd like to call the LaPorte County Council regular meeting of March 27, 23 to order. We ask that you silence at your phones. We're going to stand, do Pledge of Allegiance. At the end of the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would be kind enough to do a moment of silence for a member of our community, Richard Stallbrink Sr. Mr. Cunningham, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Rosenbaum.
Present.
Councilman Novak.
Present.
Councilman Cunningham.
Present.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Present.
Councilman Yagelski.
Present.
Councilman Keel.
Present.
Councilman Karanka.
Present.
All 7 are present.
Okay, we have the agenda. One of the promises that we made was to try not to have any last minute corrections. So I look for the approval of the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. Passes. Approval of the February 27, 2023 meeting minutes. I hope that you've had a chance to review them.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Any comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, that's everybody. It's approved. We now open to public comment. We do ask public comment to be kept short and short and to the point. And thank you very much.
Good evening, Steve Hollifield, 6782 East, 100 South. I'm not sure, it wasn't on the agenda, but I'd like about 1 minute for a suggestion on the HR hiring coming up. I did a little more research, and if you look at the salary proposal you're coming up with or being told that might need is 90 to 120,000. If you look towards Porter, Lake, and St. Joe County, they're anywhere between 68 and 78,000, and those are the ones you guys usually look for in studies for salary. So I don't think you need to be up there at 90 to 120,000. I mean, the last lady was doing it for what, 63,000. So I don't know if you offered that up to the new lady. I know there's a problem going on over there, and I would like to make a suggestion. I made this at the commissioners meeting. Most businesses in America nowadays hire out their IT, their HR, and their payroll systems. I would like to see if you guys could at least take an RFP to see if there is any savings or not. And if there is a big enough savings, maybe we need to look at doing that outside the county and, save the taxpayers some money. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that'd like to make a public comment? Please come on up. State your name and address, please.
My name is Don Ensign. I'm from Hebron, Indiana, and I represent the Veterans Memorial Parkway Commission and the Friends of the Veterans Memorial Parkway. I am here. I've handed you packets that you'll get a chance to take a look at. The purpose of our group is to build memorials on the Veterans Memorial Parkway to honor our fallen in battle and those that have served in our wars and conflicts over the decades. We have built the Korean War Memorial in Leroy. The Vietnam Memorial is in Stony Run Park, just off of the Parkway. We are working on a memorial for World War I and World War II in Crown Point in conjunction with the city of Crown Point. I have been asked to lead the group for creation and construction of Middle East Memorial Site. We have acquired 99-year lease from the town of Hebron on land on our Veterans Memorial Trail in Hebron that's part of the Great American Rails Trails that will someday reach from Washington, D.C. to Washington State. Part of that trail will come through La Crosse. And Justin is basically working on some of that right now. The memorial will honor veterans from Lake Porter, LaPorte, Newton, Jasper, Stark, and Pulaski counties. In your packet, there are 8 fallen heroes from your county that we will honor. We are asking you to join us by a donation to the Friends organization to help us pay for the design, engineering, and possible construction of the memorial. We are a 501c3 group. The packet that I've given you and the request for donation you have received in it explains our mission. The list of names in the packet, as I've said, are the fallen heroes of your county and that we will be honoring on the memorial. We are also trying to investigate, want to honor the veterans that have come home and we've lost because of PTSD. And I, for one, have my daughter-in-law's nephew came home 3 weeks from this and he's gone. So I kindly ask you to consider us. If you'd like me to come back to your next council meeting or whatever, my information is on the packets. And I would ask you to please consider us and join us. If you'd like this is actually the trail. Take a look at that. That trail that's been put in. And that's the site that the memorial will go on 231. Okay? Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak?
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Paul Kramer, 3939 South, 75 West. I'm at the corner of 475, right next to where they've been doing the metal brick subdivision drainage. And currently, half my property is underwater. I contacted Jerry Sullivan, Christine Keel. Jerry Sullivan was going to contact the contractor, have him pump that out. Currently, I'm taking all the water from Nowak subdivision into my yard. The drainage pipe is not finished. It's bubbling up through the manhole cover. I do have a video of that. I tried sending it to Jerry Sullivan, but the county must have some kind of restrictions on their email where they would not let that video go through. I'm just, hopefully the commission here can help me in any way possible to resolve this issue.
What's that? Well, it's part of it. Well, we don't, okay.
Alan raised
We're
his hand.
going to suggest that you speak to Mr. Stevens, Alan Stevens. Of
And
our
possibly
Highway
Commissioner
Road Department.
Grammarosa here, so.
And yes,
That is great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you very much. Anybody else from the public? Thank you.
I'm Tony Wallace. I'm the trustee for Hannah Township. And we are wanting to do a community park project where I've applied for a grant with the Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte. The objective is we want to install a walking fitness trail, a new playground area that's geared more towards older kids 5 and up, and a finished parking lot so that makes the whole park more presentable. The Healthcare Foundation has asked that we seek matching funds for our project. I've reached out to NERPC, and their funding situation is every 2 years, and they don't come back out again for funding until November of 24. And my next stop is with you gentlemen up here to see if there's a way we can possibly be eligible for some matching funds to help with our project.
about. That's a good point. Unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight for me to just say, hey, why don't you just have this conversation? Our planner is,
On it.
yep,
I already directed him to the planner. He's
Okay.
already had a conversation.
you've already had, so that's why you then came to
Yes.
us. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Was he coming for? Senator coming for?
NERC, he talked about NERC, but there might be, another one that, when I talked to Mitch, there might be another one that's available, for that. So.
Okay, but he's coming to us for some help, but we need him to go through the process of our planner. That's what I mentioned, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that part.
How much of this total $250,000 price are you seeking additional outside funding from? What does the township cover?
To be honest with you, the healthcare foundation did not give me a limit or amount of what they were seeking for matching. They just wanted me to make the effort to see what we can come up with from one way or the other. I don't know if it's 10, 50, 25. I have no idea. And they were kind of open on that. I go in front of the grant committee Wednesday. I've already been in front of the grant facilitators, and I go in front of the actual grant committee on Wednesday to pitch the idea and everything like that. So I probably might have a little bit more of a grounding on what they're looking for.
Thank you.
If upon getting additional information, I would highly recommend that you forward the information to either myself or to the auditor's office for them to send it to me so that we can then share the additional information.
Okay.
So just point of, is there some way we can give him some assurance when he goes back to the healthcare foundation that we're looking into it, or I'm not, without a, no, we can't say we're looking into
Well,
it?
you can say what you want to say, but we're not.
We're
gonna
looking
take a vote
into
out here.
it. Since nobody else up here will say they're looking into it, we're looking into it, so.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I would have thought by me asking for information.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, I'm Rick Kentaff, 324 Box Street, City of LaPorte. I come before you gentlemen tonight with some grave concerns over a contract that's been approved through the county commissioners for a company called Integris Search LLC out of South Bend, Indiana, concerning a search for a new HR director in the sum of $17,000. Have a real problem with this. When we have 7 elected officials on the county council that taxpayers have elected to oversee the taxpayers' money, we have 3 commissioners that are overseeing the running of the county. So that's 10 people here that have been elected by the taxpayers to oversee and run this county. We have a former sheriff who's very qualified to look at applicants, resumes, former fire chief to look at applications and resumes. We have a teacher who has a master's degree, I'm sure. Other qualified people up here to look at these applications and resumes. I don't think we should be wasting $17,000 of taxpayers' money for a job that we've elected 10 people in this county to do. We've got a person who's been in this position with an interim title for over a year. The person who was in this position before had a bachelor's degree. The person that's in there now with an interim title has a master's degree. What I'm seeing here is nothing more than a political football being played here, and I think it's time for this to stop. I think it's time for the people that have been elected to run this county to do their job. This contract should not go through. We should not be playing games with taxpayers' money to take a job that the people that have been elected to run this county should be doing and put it on someone else. I know that Commissioner Haney said, well, we don't pay him unless we hire someone from it. Well, then why are we doing it? You gentlemen have been elected to control and look over the taxpayers' money. And I've spoken to many people out in this county since this has come up. And they've expressed to me the same sentiment that I have. We trust you, gentlemen, to do the job that you've been elected to do. And approving this contract is not what we've elected you to do. This is a waste of taxpayers' money. So I think it's time that we do one of two things. We either give this person that's in that office the job. If they can't do the job, then follow the guidelines for discipline that's in the county handbook, and I've reviewed it. Or maybe you come up and appoint a citizens hiring committee. Maybe that'll cost you a meal, and let the citizens go through these applications and resumes, and that's not going to cost you $17,000. And let the citizens recommend who you maybe need to hire. But I think when I hear you want to get a more qualified applicant, what are you going to do? Get a PhD? You got a person with a master's in there that's been doing it for a year. You had other people that have been up there with an interim title before their name. They've been there maybe 30 days and then they get appointed to the position. I don't see what the problem here is other than people playing politics with a person's life. And I think the time has come to put an end to this. You've got a person who obviously has been doing the job, who from everything what I've looked into, seems to be doing a quite adequate job at that. And I think it's time that we move on, appoint the person that's there, give them the job that they can do. If they can't do the job, then follow the policies and the guidelines within the handbook. But I would ask that you gentlemen do the job that you've been elected to do. Don't approve this contract. Save our taxpayer dollars. That's the job that you've been elected to do, is to be the people that control the purse strings. And I'm asking you to do that. There's many other people out here that feel the same way. So I would ask you to not approve this contract. Vote when you come in, whatever your joint sessions are when it comes to hiring people. Lift this interim title. Give this person a chance to do the job. Like I said, what are you looking for? Someone with a PhD? You already got someone in that position that's got a master's degree. She seems very qualified. Seems to be doing a good job. Give her the job. And let's move forward. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to speak from the public? I do not see any hands on Zoom. If you want to speak from Zoom, you would need to put your hand up. Hearing none, we close public comment. We move on to department head reports. So department heads, you're welcome to come up.
Good evening, Mr. President, Council, Sean Fitzpatrick, Director of Facilities. A quick report, hopefully it's quick. So as of today, we've got 569 work orders closed for the month, which is outstanding. My team has been working really hard to make sure that things that are entered in the system are pushed right back out. Had a major electrical issue at the jail. We end up having contractor Marcus Electric come out on an emergency basis. We had to pull 17 new wires, and it was about 20 man hours. There was some water infiltration into one of the concrete embedded electrical conduits. So that was something that we weren't expecting, but we were able to get taken care of right away. Our lift station over here in the annex, we had a pump that failed. We end up replacing it. We had one on hand, so I'm looking to replace that just so we have another one on standby. And we got our 30-year-old holding tank is leaking in the boiler room, of course, at JSC, as well as the boiler that's also 30 years old. It's going to be replaced. We had the parts on order, and the parts will be in Thursday, and then we'll be looking to get that installed. And additional with the boilers on community corrections, we have those. We're sourcing those right now, so those will be replaced too. The painting in the courthouse, I don't know if anyone's had a chance to walk through the courthouse. We've got some painting done, so it's starting to brighten up and get a clean look. I like it to have a that governmental official feel when you walk in the building, so we're working toward that. One issue that's a concern of mine that I'll probably be doing some research and getting some quotes in. The Hyler elevator, all of the components for the electrical box, the motherboard, the computer are all outdated. We cannot replace them. They're all discontinued. There's no way to deal with other than to replace it and upgrade the system. So I'm in the process of gathering information to see what that cost will be before we have a failure and are unable to use the elevator. And on the topic of elevators, in the jail south elevator, we had 2 incidents where we had to have emergency personnel brought out because there were individuals stuck inside the elevator, but we were able to get them out without much incident. And the Otis was on scene, and I think this last time they were able to finish, get the problem resolved. So we were able to get the time set back on the clock and get the clock back on its scheduled maintenance. The clock, I didn't realize how old that clock was. It's from 1802, so a little bit of history. I took a tour up there myself when I had the contractors up there, so pretty good view of the city and some nice history up there. And community corrections, in the last week, we've had several incidents out there. I don't know if anyone heard, we just had some security things we're trying to deal with, and those are some things that we're looking to improve the quality and the tamper resistance or proofness of some of the equipment out there. So that's something I've been working on to get quotes and stuff so we could get those things addressed as well. So we were doing our annual fire inspection, testing smoke detectors, fire alarms, and we discovered that the dialer at the Hyler building was not communicating with 911. So we're in the process of having that replaced. It looks like that whole system needs to be updated. It's not very expensive, but it's something that we have to wait on the parts. So I did contact the fire department, and based off their recommendation, we do have a fire watch going on at the Hyler building currently, and until we're able to get that dialer replaced. And the same thing with the courthouse dialer. It goes to main control first and then to 911. So we're trying to have it where it goes directly to 911 once the new system is reinstalled. And I had to replace a compressor in the LG units for the courthouse. So it was power surge, and so we were able to get that taken care of. We had one on hand, so we're looking to replace that one. And I'm gonna have our HVAC tech is working with the LG company. They have a certified maintenance or technician that is going to be in the area, so we're going to have them come through and give everything a kind of update and inspection to see what's the status on everything, if there's anything that we have any major concerns of. And really quick, fun fact, 29 of our work orders were deliveries for paper, and we actually delivered 56 cases of paper. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that report.
Good evening, gentlemen. Erica Stallworth, Executive Director of the LaPorte County Juvenile Services Center. First of all, I wanted to take a moment and just thank the majority of you have been out to the center this year to visit with us, talk to our staff. I've been at the center for 22 and a half years, and this is the first time that we've had that many councilmen and commissioners come out and pay us a visit, and it's appreciated. So thank you for that. I wanted to give an update on our per diem. This was mentioned previously by my assistant, Mike Callahan, that now we bring in per child per day $1,907. So to date, we've receipted $86,219.25, and we just billed for another $265,082.73. So for January and February, together, that will be $351,301.98 that we've brought in because we've held children on our emergency shelter care unit. And how that happens is every year I have to do a pretty detailed cost report. So it takes about a month, and we look at all of our expenses, what the county pays for insurance, salaries, our different things that are broken down on our budget. And they look at that, they look at the job descriptions of our staff members and the time that they spend doing certain types of jobs. And based off of that, they state comes out with a per diem. And we go back and forth with a desk audit. So it's pretty detailed. But none of that would happen without all of my staff. So I'm looking at my educators, my counseling staff, my cooks, my secretary, all the staff members help me get that done. And so that goes to my point. There was going to be a meeting, there's supposed to be a meeting in March between some of the council members in regard to the difference, the 5% that was still needed for some of those staff members. So I wanted to get an update on where we're at in that process and making them, those staff members that didn't get the 15% up in line with those that did. That creates some issues. Some of the staff members who did not get the 15% are some staff members who have, I don't want to belabor the point because it's already been discussed previously, but everyone pitches in. They do the same job as the YSW. Some of these staff members that do that also have higher degrees. And so by not bringing them up with everyone else, you're shortening that that kind of gap there as well, which is something that I think we have to take into consideration as well. So I just wanted an update on that, if you could provide that. And the other thing was in regard to the salary study and if that was going to be released. I know Council President.
I have to apologize on that. If it had not gone out, it's because of, that's on me, because it was supposed to be released immediately.
Okay.
A conversation immediately, so I do apologize. That's on me. It's my work has just taken me in a different direction this past month.
Well, I accept that apology.
So I
Thank
do
you.
apologize to.
So that will be released soon then?
If we could get her the salary study on.
Thank you.
our group. Okay.
And that's all I had. So if you could provide an update though, if you
We'll do
guys
it
agree
when
with me.
we have our
Okay.
update, if you don't mind.
Yep. Thank you.
Quick question.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick was just up here. Are we getting any closer to resolving the issue of the blind spot between community corrections and juvenile corrections?
It's on the agenda for later on today.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm gonna send it to her.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Andrew McGuire from EMS. I'm going to give you a brief summary of our 2022 year-end report. So every year we compile this report that breaks down all of our call volume per ambulance, per station. It also breaks down some aspects of our billing department too. So once again, we saw another increase in our call volume and patient transports. Our LaPorte base ran 7,044 calls. Michigan City ran 7,966 calls. And Wanatall ran 941 calls for a total of 16,191 calls. So this is an increase of 357 calls over 2021. Patient transports were also up 538 over 2021. So in turn with call volume up and transports up, so does our charges and collections. They also go up. Our collections for 2021 totaled $3,468,891, which gets deposited in the general fund. Our collections rate is also the highest it's been since 2011. And that's a direct result of the hard work of our billing department, bringing our collections rate up. Like I said, the best it's been since 2011. So in addition, we also we still participate in the Medicaid cost report reimbursement program. It does take a fair amount of extra work and data collection reporting. We do this annually. Our office manager, Karen Parkerson, takes care of this. So next month, we will be receiving our 2020 reimbursement funds of $103,977.68. So I will email you a copy of the 2022 year-end report, our annual expense to collections report I do, and the overview that I just went through. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any, or feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Mr. McGuire, I asked you a question before the meeting, and I was satisfied with your explanation. If you want to explain that, to the public, why you chose not to mark the car up, what the cost was going to be, And,
Yeah, so for our graphics, we're using Chrismar's graphics for years, and we always got a great price from them. They went out of business quite a few number of years ago. We used a company out of Wanata, and that cost us a little bit on the higher end, and we weren't 100% happy with the work. We had to have a couple of the tiles redone. The price to have all of our graphics package done was nearing about $2,800, which I thought was awfully high for what you get out of that. So with my vehicle, the fact that I mainly do administrative work, I do run on calls that is fully functional as an emergency vehicle, but I mainly use it for going to meetings and admin work back and forth to the bases and so on. I opted not to mark that with that extra expense. I don't have a problem marking it if you'd like me to. It wasn't out of intentionally trying to be malicious or anything. It just
I don't think, I would agree with you, 2,800 is excessive,
Right.
but it would seem that there's some kind of seal that you could put in the back
Oh, yeah.
windows and so forth, make sure that it's clearly marked so that none of our taxpayers.
there is a the vehicle's state certified through the EMS Commission.
Right.
In the side windows, a red state seal that says the vehicle certified. I thought that would suffice. That would be good enough. It's good enough for the state of Indiana. I figured it'd be fine, but I can mark it even more if you'd like. So not a problem.
What's the preference of the council? I think in the past, we've preferred to have LaPorte County on our vehicles if they're owned by the county. I thought we had a policy with the commissioners at one time in that regard.
So the issue comes on, is it has nothing to do with a particular person, sorry, particular person. We've had people that passed that decide they want to be a policeman for a day and turn the lights on and run code red or whatever. So as a policy, we've changed it for all the departments so that we're not looking at individuals. I mean, I named 5 violations that we've had with different departments in the past. It's a good policy. It's a good policy to be identified, good policy where it's at, and I know that it took care of a lot of our problematic calling from residents because the vehicles were out of the county, or they were driven excessive speeds or whatever it has to be. I don't say in this particular case, but if you don't write the rule for everybody, then it makes no sense. So I believe we should stick with our rule. Now, I don't, if it's $2,800, maybe we can go and try a different source. I don't know. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, we can definitely source it and look for something a little bit cheaper, but
Even if you put just that EMS logo, I saw one of them on the desk upstairs on one of the old desks.
yeah.
Something that says,
LaPorte County EMS is,
Right.
yeah, it's fine. I don't have any.
What comes to mind too is the coroner's office. They use a logo that kind of blend in with their darker vehicle, since that is a dark vehicle. So maybe I could find out where they got that done at and do something similar to that. So kind of match that paint scheme. So I'll check with them.
I appreciate you being upfront. And then the second part of that question was, a taxpayer who works in the auto industry thinks that that particular vehicle has a $495 upcharge for paint, and you don't think that was the case. It was right off a lot and so forth. But
I sent you that. Actually, Eric sent you that invoice already for that detailed breakdown of that vehicle. Has all the options, everything we paid for.
there was no upcharge for paint in that.
No,
vehicle.
not that we saw on that
Excellent.
invoice. So,
Okay. Thank you.
any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeremy Sabecki from the Parks Department. We get our decals just from like Reprographic Arts or Hawkins, so if you're just looking for a basic decal, something like that, they're pretty cheap. But anyway, just wanted to update you on our staffing. We did lose a couple full-time employees to retirement from our nature center, so we are hiring those. We did hire the nature center, the naturalist, and then the other one leaves April 6th, and we have somebody lined up for that position. So all of our full-time positions are filled. We have 8 positions now, and we lost 3 of them in the last, so Parks, it hit Parks there. For a while, we didn't have any full-timers leaving, but so yeah, it hit us recently too. I think we're going to be fine now that we've got them filled though. Seasonally, we're going to be needing those seasonal laborers at each of the parks. I think we have 1 lined up. We'll need a couple more. So if anybody knows anybody who wants to mow, clean restrooms, pick up trash,
weed eat, that kind of stuff, send them our way. Lastly, I just wanted to thank Alan Stevens and Sean Fitzpatrick, always willing to help us out with air conditioning needs or heating needs. Sean sent a guy over right away when we had a rental coming in and had a furnace go down. And then Alan, we have a tree that's hanging over the power line in the entrance road. It's dead, but it's not falling yet, but it isn't going to be long. And they're going to send a bucket truck over this week to take care of that. So probably a several $1,000 item that, because we're able to work between departments, and I think a lot of people don't realize that, but you know, we don't have a lot of that bigger equipment in our department, but we're always working with these other departments, and I think all the departments try to do that. So that's all I got.
Mr. President,
Yes.
real quick here, I know I brought this conversation up numerous times. I'll try one more time. We look for these type of jobs, and I've had people apply for them. This is not specifically on you. We turn them down. High school education. I don't care what they have high school education. If they can't, we can't employ somebody. We have problem hiring people. A good practice is you bring a person in and you help that person get their diploma. We are strict on our policy and we have never changed it, and that's why we have problem hiring people. And I've given numerous examples. I've brought people through the process to bring them in, and some were turned down for that reason alone. So again, we got to change our practices, because there's no reason why I can't bring somebody in to help with under supervision, to do the maintenance that we're talking about.
Yeah,
that is not a county policy, by the way.
I would definitely agree with that, Mr. Yagowski. As far as our seasonal positions, I mean, it's not that hard. I don't want to say anybody can do it, but we can work them through that and train them to do those positions. It's really not that big a deal. And
we have plenty of jobs we leave empty at the end of the year because of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to, two things. Thank Jeremy for working with our other departments, and those department heads for working with you as well. That's a sign of doing what's best for the county and the taxpayers. And secondly, I want to thank you personally for staying in touch on the job and basically maintaining, even though you were off work, during a very tough time with your family. So greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Was that me?
No.
Oh.
Somebody got unmuted somehow. They let the cat out.
I am here because, as you guys know, I am making a lot of changes with our elections. One of them is the way that we pay our election workers. Early voting, I believe last fall they were paid, the workers that worked early voting, it was low. I believe it was $13 an hour. I want to make these changes, but stay in my own lane. I don't want to step outside of what I should be doing. So that's why I'm here. I would like to, and I have the money, I'd like to raise them from 13 an hour to 16. And then we have our election day workers. Traditionally, the inspectors have made $200 since I've been around. Your lead judge makes $180, and everybody else makes $150. And I would like to this year bump them up. I would like to do a $50 increase across the board for them. I don't know that I can do this on my own, or if I need to be here, and that's why I'm here. Because of the way that we are doing the elections, where we have combined polling locations at combined precincts at one polling location, we have also combined the team. So rather than have 20 people working at the Civic, we're gonna have 6. So where I can increase the pay and still save money at the very same time. And that just makes sense to me. But I just wanna make sure that I'm within my authority.
Mr. President, this was brought to my attention today and I looked at it. I don't see a problem. She's decreasing the amount of folks that are going to be used. She's increasing the job's going to get done for money that's already previously budgeted.
And it's within the budget.
It's within the budget.
And the rate that they're getting is within your part-time ordinance.
I'm good to go.
Question, Mr. President, generally speaking, those people who are working a 13-hour day, they're gonna get there about a half hour before and probably don't get out until about a half hour after, correct? So it's not
State-
like,
Yeah, state statute it says that they have to be in the building at 5 a.m. and they don't get out of there until after 6. And then they pack everything up and yeah.
well, it might be 13 and a half hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we give these daily rates, it sounds like it's real high, but they're working a day and a half in a sense.
Correct.
Thank you.
So at this point, we don't see a problem. We should probably just run the numbers, make sure they're within your budget, and then it could probably be, I think your election board needs to make that decision on the pay.
And okay, I know that's not me.
That was a favorable vote, by the way. For you people that don't understand dogs, that was a
Four, I did count 4 positive votes there.
And what I would like to do is come back to you guys in May after it's all said and done for this primary to show you the difference between what we paid out in 2019 and what we're going to pay out this year. And I think you're going to find that it's pretty healthy savings. So, all right, thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Any other department heads at this time that'd like to come up and speak?
I think animal control is out there on the Zoom.
Members of the council, if I may, from my perch here, possibly briefly.
Yes,
Mr. President, thank you. I just wanted to give a brief report that we have heard from Senator Dalton today. We expect the final numbers need to be calculated that the remaining ARP money, we will go over 21.4 million in revenue loss. So the remaining ARP money can be treated as lost revenue. There's really no doubt about that because we already have 2.7 million in sewer projects that were under the restricted regimen and 100,000 in housing assistance. So I just want to report that. Also, Director Stallworth has been emailed the salary study, FYI.
Thank you. Just taking a note. Sorry. All right.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Connie Grammarosa, Commissioner, and I'm up here talking to you about the flood project. So obviously, and I guess this might be the first time we're really talking about it in public, so I'll talk about the different departments that were affected. We had the Plan Commission, the prosecutor, the health department, IT, EMS, sheriffs, adult probation, and the coroner's office that were affected. Everybody but the sheriffs, because obviously they have the big guns, they were able to stay in their area and everybody else was kind of moved out of theirs. Hint, hint. But we're moving along nicely. We have emptied out all the floors. We're at the point where a lot of the walls and everything that was supposed to be coming out has already been moved out. We'll probably be wrapped up with that part of the construction by the end of the week. And then we have to start getting on to the part of the construction where we're going to be putting things back together. It's we're kind of at a little bit of a stalemate right now. Obviously, if anyone here has worked with insurance companies, it's never an easy thing to do. We know what needs to get done, and insurance companies are always going to budge a little bit with you and try to get their own cost savings, and we're trying to get the most we can for our buildings. So this is just one report here, and I know some of you have came to see it, and this is kind of just a file, and there's multiple pictures on each page of lost items that were total lost. They sent out somebody from the insurance company go through it, and then this is not our final list. We went ahead and we had to add a lot more to that because as the weeks went through, we started finding things that had more water damage on it and furniture that we had to discard. as far as all the furniture is off all the floors, and a lot of the furniture that we were able to save thanks to our maintenance department, we were able to go ahead and get those moved into other areas. We were actually able to move a lot of furniture either to 8th Street, to Monroe Street. We're storing some of it down here in the tunnel, some of it down in our basement here. So we didn't have to actually go ahead and rent anything out. So that was a big savings for us and for the insurance company for that fact. But again, I just like to stress, if some of you have taken the opportunity to come out and look at the sites and go through some of the reports that I have, open door policy, anybody's welcome to come, give us a call. You can make arrangements to see the floors or see any of the documentation that we've done so far. So thank you.
One moment, please.
I just want to add that Commissioner Graham Rosa and the team that she has in place, I come in every Monday on the meetings and we talk more than just on that meeting, but they're doing a fantastic job. So it's a huge undertaking, and they're really giving a lot of emphasis on keeping our cost, our personal costs down and making sure that the insurance is bearing the majority of all this. So we know there's going to be some cost because they don't cover everything, but we're trying to keep that to a minimum.
Yes.
Thank you for the time you're committing to this project.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Is there any other department head? If not, we'll close it. And you weren't a department head, but, we really do appreciate your time on this one coming up. Okay. Moving on to liaison reports. Mr. Mullenhour, would you like to start?
Yep. He's on mute.
What do you say?
I don't know.
I'll pass, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Karanka? I'm just gonna go slide across that way.
Due to personal and professional constraints, I haven't had a lot of time to meet with different departments, but I do want to encourage that anybody that's been invited to the extension office meet and greet tomorrow to attend.
Thank you for the reminder. Mr. Novak?
Attended the RDC. There's a lot going on. I know Mr. Reardon's here tonight to talk about that. As Adam stated, the extension, there's a lot of good things going on out there. So if you haven't been out there, they do have a meet and greet tonight. That should be great. They got a new employee, so getting the educators hired. Attended the Annex Flood Committee meetings with the construction workers, and also the 911 center. If you see the furniture that's out in the circle, sitting next to the dumpsters where all the old furniture is going out, the new stuff is for the 911 center. So that work is all being done right now. So it's so we're excited about that. So, but that's it.
Mr. Gill?
It's been a busy month. I attended the Indiana County Councils Association district meeting. I sent you guys and the commissioners a detailed report of some of the legislative actions that will be impacting our county. I also attended the Farm Bureau's Chili Supper, where Sheriff Heat gave a nice presentation. Attended a meeting for NERC, US 30 Coalition, RDC, as well as 5 other local units of government. Met with my departments that I'm a liaison to. The Treasurer's Office would like me to inform you that tax bills are looking like they're on time to be sent out on April 11th. And for anyone who's having trouble paying their property taxes, the Treasurer's Office has resources available for those people if they should reach out to them. That's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Yagowski?
Yes, I was asked by the data board, we had a meeting to discuss the statements that were made. So let me just read it real quick here. We've always been instructed to buy local. Just searching the internet for a better price is unacceptable. The local vendors that we use provide support for any product that they have sold the county. We always try to support who pays taxes in our county if possible. The IT department director reports to the data board. The IT department never orders stock equipment. They customize the PCs they order. When comparing your Google searches, they do not match the specs that completely, or did you just match stock model numbers? As a Microsoft license, that was in question and seems to be very much very much of a complaint of yours during the last meeting that was not written by me. The county purchased Microsoft 365 G1 license for their uses. If they did a little research, you would found out that with that license, you do not have the ability to download an Office product description. Office 365 GCC G1 provides all the functionality of the enterprise counterpart Office 365 Enterprise E1, but it's hosted in a separate secured environment. It adds compliance features like accreditations, personnel screening, data residency, enables the service to meet the required needs of U.S. government customers, state and local government customers, and requires compliance level data protection. And security, it can always take advantage of the Office 365 GCC G1. The Office 365 GCC1 includes Microsoft Exchange emails with a 50 gigabyte mailbox per user, online versions of the Outlook, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files storage and sharing with 1 TB OneDrive storage per user, and the Microsoft Teams, which adds conferencing collaboration tools. Office 365 includes and guarantees uptime SLA for 99.9% compliance reports and Active Directory integration. Office 365 also supports a mobile workforce and is accessible across multiple devices, including PCs, Macs, Androids, tablets, Android phones, iPads, and iPhones. In addition to these listed above. Business class emailing hosted with the 50 gigabyte mailbox, Office versions of Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint. HD video conferencing with Skype for businesses. Teams titles 1.79 of baseline storage plus 500 megabytes of storage per users. Office apps included. So the problem we have with the issue that came about, this has to do with not only for the IT department, but it does with the office equipment and furnishings that we do across the street. This was a edict that was sent to the department heads, including data, that they were to buy local, and that was the conditions that they were told they had to do. We do it throughout the county, not just in the IT department. With that being said, if the council decides to change that directive, which they're entitled to do, that has to go across the board through all the other departments, not just the IT. I think that was the last thing I had to talk about. So anyways, in the short sentences, that's the direction that was made by previous council. That rule is still in place yet. We'll be glad to change it. The only thing that separates this conversation is that we had people going out purchasing separate equipment off the internet, and that's what led us into our problem that we ran into a few years back when we were hacked, which cost a lot of money. There was actually people pretty high up in offices that bought this equipment, and that's the equipment that we were hacked on. So if anybody has any questions, please refer to the data board, and we're glad to address it. Thank you.
Would the IT director be willing to come to the next meeting so we could ask some questions about how they do procurement?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Mr. Cunningham? Okay, I'm just gonna keep mine short. I too attended the IC district meeting, also the RDC meeting this past month due to various things. FMEC, we only had an executive board meeting, not the full board meeting. We'll have that soon. Also, I will, that's it for me for now. The only other comment I want to make, I did say I was going to make some other comments about, we did have a very short meeting with the, I don't know, what are we calling that? The compensation, we're not calling it the employee review or employee compensation review committee with Mike Way. We have, and also being my busiest time of the year at the moment, that we are going to meet right after the 18th to continue the conversation, and that anybody who wants the release of the studies regarding their department, you have access to it, you just have to ask, and that way we know, rather than sending it out to everybody. Again, there's no hiding anything, and what we're gonna do as far as reviewing those has not been decided on the process as of yet, but we're gonna start moving on a much quicker pace. After that, my travel requirements slow down, so it makes it easier for us to have a meeting. Even though we can meet on Zoom, which some people like to do, it's not the same thing as being in the same room and being able to have a conversation. And we first started this, we tried to see where we were going with the HR director, and with that, the process has already begun. So that's it for there. Moving on to ordinances and resolutions. Under new business, consider approval of council president's authorization to hire a replacement position.
Mr. President, correspondence?
Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss? So I did. Any
I
correspondence?
don't believe we have any correspondence or any ordinances resolutions.
Thank you. On to new business. Consider approval of council president's authorization to hire a replacement position for LaPorte County Auditor payroll position. The second one opened up at the day of our last meeting, so we couldn't approve it at that time. It happened right on the spot, so.
To approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Consider to approve the LaPorte County Prosecutor APS Division, the APS Investigator. It's a full-time position.
What does APS stand for?
Adult Protective Services.
Thank you.
This is a replacement.
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's all of us. LaPorte County EMS, a motion to support the purchase of one ambulance for 2025 delivery, loose equipment 2025 delivery. So $317,920 for the new cost of an ambulance for delivery 2 years from now, because that's how long it's gonna take if we order today. And also their loose equipment that goes along with it for another $18,528. Would you care to share?
Yes, absolutely. So good evening again. I sent an email earlier this month kind of explaining this proposal. Just to reiterate that email, the ambulance manufacturer lead times are not getting any better, unfortunately. They're currently taking orders, as you said, for the end of 2025, early 2026. So some vendors have even paused taking orders to try and get their production caught up. They've stopped bidding on projects also. So fortunately, our vendor has not stopped. They've continued to take orders, thank goodness. This has been extremely challenging for us to look forward in our fleet replacement program, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, and try to not put ourselves in a bad situation, make sure we have ambulances there when we're ready to replace them. So it's not been very easy. We've been very successful in doing this so far. I wish I had better news for you, but unfortunately I think that this is going to continue to go on like this for a little bit longer. Initially they said, bear with us 3, 4 years, we'll get through this. Now they're talking about, maybe up until another 8, 10 years. We may be looking at production issues, lead times going on. So the ambulance that we are proposing replacing is a 2017 with current mileage of 98,000 miles. So in 2.5 to 3 years, we're estimating that you're having an additional 40 to 45,000 miles on that vehicle. So we received pricing from 3 different vendors for a 169-inch E450 gas Type 3 ambulance. The vendors who listed a price that matched our requirements were Braun, Sterling, and Osage. So Braun listed the price slightly below our current vendor, Osage. Sterling was the highest price of the 3. Due to being familiar with our current vendor and the fact that we've been doing business with them for 7 years, we're extremely satisfied with them and their craftsmanship. I would recommend going with the Osage ambulance. And another reason I'd recommend going with Osage is that they have guaranteed the 2025 pricing for us, even if the ambulance production goes into 2026. Not very many ambulance manufacturers would work with us on that and help us with pricing. So in addition, I also sent you another email that said that during recent conversations, due to price increases in 2026 of about $20,000 to $25,000, they're estimating that price increase from 25 to 26. Our current vendor is willing to work with us on a end of 25 truck, 26 truck, and cut, before that price increase takes place, and give us that pricing, the same pricing as the first unit. So I just threw that option out there. I was only going for approval of one, but they threw that out there. I just didn't know what the council's position would be on that. So I wanted to offer that as a cost savings. If that would be approved, I would not go for an ambulance in 26. That would be our 26 truck, and we would not need an ambulance in 26 then, if we would make that work. So,
Mr. President.
Yes.
Legal advice, Mr. DiMartino. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
So I know we projected usually into the next year, we've done it because of the purchasing agreements. But we're going into 2025 now. We're going to have possibly new at-large running before that. So can we commit to 2025?
You can because you have a fleet right now. You all have put together a fleet replacement policy, and you've all looked to the future. So I don't see a problem with that based on supply chain and the fact that it needs to be ordered relatively soon in order to meet the requirements of the fleet. I do not see
I have
a
no
problem.
problem. I'm just asking for the purpose of. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Can you give us an update? Forgive me, kind of lost track of how many ambulances we have
I know.
on order.
Right. So
I think there's 2.
we picked one up the very, very beginning of this year. We have no more for this year. Next year into 2024, we have one very early on. I was trying to get them spread out as much as we could, and one very late in the year 24. So then that puts us into 25 then, is what we're discussing today. So I do want to.
How many are in the fleet now?
We have a total of 12.
Thank
12 total. These are replacement vehicles. This is not additional. This is just
want to make sure everybody
Yeah.
hears that number again, because we
Right.
don't always realize.
Right. And another thing to add too, just off the top of my head, is these vehicles, they're V10 E450s. We're running them about 7 to 8 years. Sometimes they push a little longer than that. We're running them to about 158 to 160,000, 170,000, somewhere. Sometimes they get a little more miles on them, depending on how soon we can get them replaced. But for that V10 engine, we're not talking about diesels anymore, where you could really rack up miles for that V10, and the way we run them and how heavy those vehicles are. That's about our point where we're finding more serious mechanical issues starting to happen. So we're hitting that sweet spot to where we're replacing them on time before we get into the major mechanical issues. So, like I said, we've been very successful in hitting that mark the last few years with your support and your help.
Okay, council, what would you like to do?
Motion to support.
We have a motion to support, do I have a second? And we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say, I'm sorry.
Do a roll call, don't we?
It's on support.
Okay, all right, just
It will soon.
keep an eye on it.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I didn't hear any nays, just to be sure, because I didn't hear everybody, so.
And
None, okay, it carries?
And the pleasure of the council was for that one, or
The one and the equipment.
and the equipment.
one in the equipment, not
Now we're gonna discuss
Okay.
the other motion support to purchase one support vehicle for a 2024 delivery, emergency lighting and warning equipment, 2024 delivery. So the equipment, the vehicle rather, is $44,740.
Correct.
And the lighting and warning equipment is $14,413.
Correct. correct. And a note with the lighting equipment too is that we do that ourselves in-house. Eric actually helps with the install of that to save the labor expense of having to have an upfitter do all that. It's a huge cost savings. So that's why that dollar amount's kind of low, or else it could be probably double that if we had to ship it out somewhere. That the vehicle we're looking at replacing is a 2012 Chevy Tahoe with 94,000 miles on it. And just like last year with Kelly Chevrolet has a state bid for the state of Indiana still. Their bid window for government vehicles like this was only open for about 6 hours last year. And that was for this year's vehicle. So they're anticipating the same exact thing happening where when that window opens here in a few weeks, it'll just be open for a short amount of time. You get as many orders in as you can. So hopefully we'll be lucky enough to get an order in. And that vehicle won't be done until 2024. That'll be a 24 vehicle.
What would the council like to do? Would anybody like to make a motion of support?
Motion support.
We have a motion and a second.
Question.
You have a conversation? Go ahead, Mr. Yagowski.
With this, like other vehicles, you'll leave the option to trade in, like we have in the past?
Yes.
Option to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not getting much on those trade-ins as you
But now
guys
we're not getting
guys
anything,
know.
right.
So yeah, we don't, I didn't even, and since we're doing this for a year, and even with the ambulance, you're doing it 3 years out,
Yep.
you're doing this the year out, they're not gonna give you a great trade-in value right now anyway.
I know,
So,
okay.
yeah,
That's
so
fine.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I saw that, I didn't quite hear him, but I saw him say aye, so motion carries. So that's for both things.
Okay. And just to clarify too, I brought up the option of doing that second ambulance for 26 with the cost savings of 20 to 25,000. I didn't know if you wanted me to explore or continue with that option or just do the one as was voted on.
Be nice if there's if we can have an option in there without being absolutely 100% committed to it at this point.
Yeah, I can save about 25, actually maybe a little bit more than that, depending on what the projected cost increase from 25 to 26 is about $25,000. So they're letting me slide an order in before that cost increase goes up and save that dollar amount.
So
If
just to clarify, Randy's talking about an option in the contract, and I think you're talking about
an order.
You're talking about an order or an option in the contract, because an option to somebody in real estate means something specifically different.
No.
So
I'm talking about an order, an additional order.
that's okay.
Or an additional
That's not an option, Mr. Nolan.
Yeah.
I'm talking about an option. Whereas if we, at some point in future, we decide, before, obviously this isn't gonna go into production for some time.
Right, yeah.
But prior to the going into production, if we decided an option two, so see if that's an, if
Yeah, all
that's an option.
all those slots would be filled by then. They'll actually be filled by the end of the week. The option or that availability would no longer be there past probably tomorrow or the next day. I told them I'd get back to them right away and let them know if I needed one slot or two. So but I'll just
Be
put
the
the one in.
case that since there's such high demand, you're talking about you have to get a spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If we don't have the money 2 years from now, someone's gonna take that vehicle. It's not like they're building a vehicle specifically for LaPorte County. That vehicle.
They are actually, yeah. It's
They're
actually
building
spec.
it for us, but someone else would take it. They couldn't get in on the initial list.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I signed a contract under our name that says that we will purchase that vehicle. That's why I come to get that motion of support and sign that contract. So, I mean, but
Check and see if they'll give us
A
an
little
option.
more than an option.
Right, but the truth is, in government contracts, if it doesn't get appropriated, we have ways of getting out of the contract. But I don't know that we need to worry about that, but hopefully that'll never happen.
But to be clear, you're saying that if we don't make a decision tonight, we will lose that opportunity to get in on that.
exactly. Yeah.
No question.
I'm open to, I'm open to, if,
What would the council like to do?
hey, I already bought one ambulance, so.
And I feel I apologize. I feel bad even I don't want to muddy the water. They gave me the option of I keep saying option. They gave me the availability of that, and I just wanted to run it by you. Just it's a cost savings, and then I would forego a truck in 26 and save that money.
Like I said, with the possibility of 2026, because this could be 2027 before it's all over with.
Yeah.
No matter what, we're going to forego a vehicle purchase. So I have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve for
Second.
a second vehicle for 2025.
For option, yes.
Yeah.
For option.
And then we have a second.
For option.
Second.
No, we already had one, but thank you. I don't care, add two.
We don't add to.
So the motion is to support, a motion of support to purchase a second 2025 ambulance, but would end up coming in more, or is it a 2026 ambulance?
It'd be a 26, early,
An early 26.
early
ambulance.
production 26. That's how they're doing this. It's going to be one of the first orders they slide in 26.
Just want to make sure I'm understanding and it's all clear.
With the caveats that they will not order one for 2026. So
Yes.
Correct. And we're getting it for the price of 2025. Correct.
With no equipment. Just kidding, just kidding.
Any further discussion?
Too serious.
Well, that, are you also going, is the equipment also come into that?
Gonna have to
Or is
add
that
the
something-
equipment.
I will have to come back and appropriate
Okay,
that.
at that point in time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll come back during that year and get the appropriations done, yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in all those in favor of going,
Aye.
aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
ayes, so we got it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done with new business, we move on to old business. And, Mr. Reardon, you reported to us last month, and then we had a little, things weren't as solidified, so here we go again.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members. Here today to talk a little bit about the CSX connection. Since our last meeting, we had the two property owners / businessmen in the park sign off in the agreement to repay the council, the county, should the track fee not equal the amount of the request, which is $525,000. By the next meeting, I'll have a copy of that agreement, as well as a copy of the CSX agreement to the county regarding the funds, which will spell out their construction means and methods and their timeline for the project.
Hearing, any comments or questions? Mr. Auditor, if we could make sure that this gets on the agenda for appropriations for $525,000. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
If nothing else, thank you.
One other item, Mr. President, Paul will be here at the next meeting to discuss a project that is ongoing on 300. It is an existing business. They're looking to expand. They've been in discussions with the state of Indiana as well. And I had a conversation today, as Paul did previous, with our attorney, Guy DiMartino, regarding the process that the council would need to take. We'll be back at the next meeting to disclose that. I think the company will be ready to come forward at this time. But some of you here might be familiar with them. Others, this will be a new experience for you, but it's a positive information for the county.
And just for clarification, it's Paul Vincent, Economic Development.
Correct, Paul Vincent, yes. This one's out of the area, slightly, just out of the TIF area.
Any other comments, questions? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, thank you for representing the county at the Michigan City Council meeting.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a bit of confusion, not on our part, but other people's part, regarding kind of process and what to do and how to do it. I was glad we were able to get that all cleared up at the meeting, and we're in contact with that particular developer right now, and they got a wonderful project, as I said at the meeting, and certainly the county's in a position to assist. We're going to run through the numbers again with Paul Vincent and determine if the county can support that kind of project. Certainly the zoning is fine and all those other things relative to what was planned in that area. It's all germane, so it'll be a matter of identifying the gap and being able to see mathematically if that can be closed, and then see if it's something that this council or the redevelopment commission would want to participate in. But we're certainly in a position to do so. So, yes.
I just want to add also that some of the previous meetings we had last year with the city, it was brought up that they thought the county could do a better job of communicating, and then this turns around and the city, I think, really had a lack of communication when it came to this. And I just want to state that we're more than willing to work with them, and we'd like to meet with them on a regular basis to try and resolve a lot of these issues and work with some things, because we're all for growth out there. What happens out there benefits them. There's just a process we have to follow. So
Yeah, I mean, so with, you know, the right level of due diligence, you can find out most things. If you choose to plow forward ahead with availing yourself of the facts, you're going to likely run into some issues.
Mr. Yagowski, please.
Yeah, I was going to wait to the end of the meeting, but it's quick enough here. Yeah, I represented this because 18 years ago, we voted to put $7.5 million into 400 North. The city agreed to put their 7.5. So total $15 million we put into this project. We TIFed that area, so it was a surprise when there was no communication that they were going to take that area away. And were they allowed to? Yeah, but then they didn't explain to the city council what was actually going to happen. What was going to happen is that they were going to come back to the county after they took the property away, come back to the county and ask for tax abatement. So that's how it works, I guess, now. So I'd rather not see that situation. We have a vote coming up in the future with county, I think tonight with Mrs. Gramarosa about the bridge. It'll come in a little later, but the process is we want to work together with the city. We have nothing. We have common areas along 20, along 400, and we could all prosper from it. So it's a shame it had to go to that point, but more communication would have been better. But I do appreciate the city council's support with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to appropriations, transfers, and requests. And on each one of these votes, because it's an appropriation, and we do have a member on Zoom, we will take a roll call just to let everybody know. So the LaPorte County Planner requesting additional appropriation from either general LIT, economic development, riverboat, or wind tax for community crossings matching grant. We spoke a little bit of this last month. We received $1 million, and so therefore our match is 50% plus anything over the million, and therefore we're asking for $1,170,672.60.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Do you mind, Mr. Auditor? There were some numbers I was confused with last month, but where would they be with your numbers? Where would be the best area to take the money out of?
Okay.
Lit, economic development, 1112.
Which one, 1112?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion approved under lit, 1112.
second, third.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Quickly, the balance of economic development this time. This balance $1,300,000, $323,612.
It's available to spend.
We're gonna spend $1,100,000.
Okay.
One action. Okay. Double check.
Can I just echo on to Mr. Cunningham? Can you confirm that of the 1112, the economic lit, which actually includes CEDAT and CAGIT? So there's two different ones in there, but it says the appropriated funds is $8,682,707. Is all that hard appropriated, or is some of it a motion of support? And it's in there.
Motions of support do not get appropriated.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
We have no reason to believe that we've already made commitments through motions of support that would have tied up these available funds for lit economic development, correct?
Not per se, but you do also have the 600,000 coming in monthly.
Thank you.
Just like last month, Ms. Staples, the numbers still don't make sense to us. We've already decreased by 80% the amount of money. In March, it shows that we have nothing. The general fund. If you look at your sheet, top sheet, available to spend, that shows nothing.
There was, I think it was $100 and some thousand that was left in it, until we get the spring settlement.
So with the community corrections giving back 351,000. Juvenile center, I'm sorry. Sorry. 351,000. And there was another department head, it was 100,000. Was it Andrews?
Yeah.
Where's that money go? How come there isn't a balance of something if we have money that's being returned on a regular basis that we're not seeing that?
Mr. Novak, I'm gonna jump on a little bit of yours, including last year's end of the fiscal year 2022, all those monies that have been deposited.
Right.
So the accounts all go put back into whatever's not spent and wasn't incurred for 20, we didn't see that at all last year. That was where I'm puzzled.
Seems like there might be
I the only one that,
a software
No, we've
glitch
actually
that's
been
showing us a,
talking about this and planning a meeting to go over more detail.
but
I can look into last year's numbers and see where they went, but I'm not familiar with that right now.
okay,
Mr. Novak, part of the issue, because I saw Erica left and she's not here to, she billed for the last 265,000. She said she
Right,
was
only
billed,
86.
So that wouldn't be here anyway,
Right.
so, but it could be 85 to 100,000.
right.
Plus anything from last year that got billed into this year.
Ms. Graves, could you elaborate on how this process works? As you explained it to me, the funds that we have in general, for example, at the beginning of the year, all of the appropriations that we've made through the budgeting process get divvied down to all of the different departments that have budgets. And so the money that we have sitting in the account is committed to those, but they've not actually spent it yet. There's still money in the bank account. It hasn't been spent yet, but it's committed to those places. So what we have available for additional appropriations just isn't there until we get our spring and fall settlements.
Yes, that is correct for the appropriations at the
See,
beginning.
that's what confuses me. I'm looking at this.
It's never been like that.
Column one says
Very
cash
confusing.
balance. He just asked you if there was a cash balance, and you said, yes, there's a cash balance.
Oh, I didn't say there was a cash balance.
Well, if
that what
there's
you
money
asked?
that we appropriated through the budget, we haven't spent a whole year's worth of money in the first 2 months of this year,
But it does take it out of the cash balance.
then it should show it as appropriated funds. On this sheet I'm looking at, it said, and I assume you provided us this sheet. First line says general fund, cash balance zero, appropriated funds zero, balance, available to spend zero.
I left it blank, because right now the computer shows negative 4 million. So there's really no money unappropriated to use for it.
so just on the same conversation, Mr. Cunningham. So then, last month when I brought this up that we have no money to spend, then it was true. Because everybody said that,
General?
yeah.
In the general, yeah, we showed like 100,000 is what Vaughn had on there for last month.
But that was the point I tried to make last month. I said, why are we going through an agenda when we have no money to spend?
Not
Remember
on
that
the general.
conversation?
That's correct, yeah.
The general, yes.
Mr. Yelsey, you've been on the council for
Long time.
20 years approximately. Have you ever seen a general balance
Even
zero?
even in the days when we had no idea what money we had because we had for 4 years in a row, we had no budget. We still had money in the accounts. So we still had money in the accounts. Never appropriation coming in.
My outgoing chief deputy said, one of his last things he said to us is that this county's been spending a lot of money the last
$300 million? Or 200, I'm sorry, $26 million? All right.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it back. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other further discussion on, paying for, out of the lit 112? Hearing no further discussion. Call for a vote. All ayes, say yes, please. Aye.
Councilman Cunningham?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, good.
Councilman Cunningham?
Hey,
Councilman Karanka?
Aye.
Councilman Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Councilman Keel?
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski?
Nay.
Councilman Mullenhour?
Gotta hear it,
Gotta hear it.
We didn't hear you.
Councilman.
No, we need to hear it.
Unmute yourself.
No, we need to hear it.
Aye.
Thank you.
Councilman Novak.
I'm gonna vote aye, and the only reason is because we've already received the matching grant. And if it wasn't for the fact that we'd already received that matching money and we're kind of behind the 8 ball on that, I'd have voted no on it, but.
5 ayes, 2 nays.
Okay, next one. LaPorte County Parks Department requesting additional appropriations from either the general, the CCD, Riverboat, Wind Tax, or ARP for a new restroom at Cridge Creek County Park for $74,000.
Yeah.
Do these line by line.
Yeah, so this is a restroom we requested in ARP money back when we put those requests in. Creek Ridge is our last park, major park that doesn't have a fully functioning restroom with running water. So that's where we're coming from on this. This would cover, we would build this in-house, so it's gonna be a big savings there. We have the staff, capable staff of doing that. If you've been out to Bloom and seen that project we did out there, I mean, it's top notch and well received. So I would be in the next request down under the Parks Department there, you'll see requesting to spend another 29,000. That would add to this to complete that project. It's kind of our match, so to say, that we would be putting towards that.
I have to ask this question. Is there ability to hold this off for a month, or is this the timing for the weather to get it in?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, we could, but I've gotta get the septic design done. So that's, 1,800 right off the bat. And if we wait another month, that's pushing that back, and we can't do anything until we get that septic design and things like that. And I also have to send the plans down to, downstate. So the longer we wait on that, it's gonna push it farther back and maybe make it to where it's towards the end of the year where we're pushing time.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
When do you think the cash would be going out the door to pay for this project?
Well, I mean, we would start with the septic design, and then the septic would go in. That's $25,000 to $30,000 right pretty quickly. And then we would be buying supplies as we, if this gets approved, we would start buying supplies to get those in so we can get going on that project as we go.
No, I wouldn't do that. I generally.
Mr. President,
Yes.
make a motion to approve, the grand total's around 155,000, just 29,380. Out of the ARP, 8951 if it qualifies, or 8950.
Are you talking about the new restroom, the trail and reporting lot repairs?
Correct.
And the water test, or the water test to be separate?
Exactly.
Could I say one thing about that though? We got an email from the health department today giving us a significant savings on those water tests. So I'd like to just remove that 1,600.
Not to exceed
Yeah.
155,000.
Okay.
Out of ARP?
I'm sorry. ARP,
But it's only 113,000 he's asking for.
Right. And we ask, we already committed to this out of ARP funds previously, so it's, and that's a fund that does have some balance.
So I want to make sure I understand your motion. How much is the amount? The 113?
Exceed 150.
150, but he's only asking for 113. So why are we going for more?
No, man.
No.
The 29 is my money I already
The
have.
29 has to be separate because it's his money. We just have to approve him to do that. So that's a separate vote. Sorry. I believe that needs to be a separate vote. Am I correct, or?
Was that money held?
Well, hold on. You're not appropriating that. He's just asking to take that out of his non-reverting funds.
All right, so we have to
Back
have it
up, my
separate.
motion will be just cover the original.
Yep.
The 113. Thank you.
113.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say
Councilman
aye.
Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Councilman Grammarosa. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman.
I got yelled at last time I called you a
Know that.
person. Yeah.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Better check your name tag there.
Councilman Yagowski.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye. Sure you don't want to call for Councilman Garner?
I almost did. Oh. Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
Thank you.
Believe that was 7 ayes.
That's 7 ayes. Okay. We've taken off the water test for drinking water. Now we're going to LaPorte County Parks Department requesting to spend remaining 2022 funds from the non-reverting account 2052.202.000.0259 for anybody following it along. Funds toward a new restroom project at Creek Ridge County Park. It's $29,382.30.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
No, this is
already
out of
got it.
funds.
Funds, I apologize.
We're good.
We keep trying to give you more money.
Actually, I would have asked, I talked to you earlier, I'd said just ask for the whole bundle.
Okay,
That for
all those,
somebody-
please take the roll call on the vote.
Only permission to spend.
So permission to spend, so all those in favor, please say aye.
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 We're good.
Thank you all.
Okay, LaPorte County
President.
Sheriff's Office.
Mr. President, if I may real quick, Jeremy, I appreciate the detail in the package and the amount of work that you put into it just to help substantiate the project overall.
I appreciate that you know, that's the way I do things, and everybody who's been on here knows that I usually give you several weeks ahead of time detail about the project, so, gonna be a good project, so thank
We
you.
appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, now moving to the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, requesting additional appropriation from either general lit public safety or wind tax or ARP for the Interact RMS bill, Records Management Systems.
Motion to approve on a public safety lit.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This expenditure is not going anywhere anytime soon. Would you think this should be included in your budgeted?
Absolutely, and as if you guys recall in the email that I had sent you a week ago detailing this expenditure, this is an issue of one of a few line items that I would like to address during budget hearings.
And you have to remember that this was a small amount, and they did it for a long time. It became large. It hasn't been on our agenda because it was a very small amount. That's why it's never been up before.
Yeah, when we originally entered into this agreement, it's probably been 10 plus years ago. Part of the grant that we received for this paid for the first 5 years of that. That has started, obviously, that has dwindled away, and now we're starting to see some yearly increases to get us to where we're at today.
Thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cunningham.
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski.
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
And Councilman Rosenbaum.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you.
Okay. LaPorte County Highway Department requesting additional appropriations from general major bridge, major moves, or riverboat, or ARP towards the remaining Franklin Street Bridge repairs. It is no longer $1 million, it is $682,126.50.
Correct.
And so this is the invoice here, if anybody wishes to see it, so that is the amount, so it would be less.
President, motion to approve on major moves. 1172.
We have a motion out of major moves, any second?
Second.
We have a second, any discussion?
It does make me a little bit nervous just in that major moves, it does not replenish itself. This is one-time money from the sale of the toll road.
Please.
We would,
Does anyone want to comment on that?
The only other option is if you go half a riverboat and half wind tax. I mean, there's.
We would-
Well, I know there's not a lot of other better options.
we would recommend, if I may, Mr. President, I mean, to the degree that major moves is the most restrictive use, it's always better to leave open your usable for anything. So riverboat and wind tax are usable for anything. So we would encourage really the major moves.
Mr. Attorney, can we declare an emergency and use emergency reserve since we don't have money?
No, we cannot.
Okay, all right.
But this went before the commission, right?
Correct.
Yes.
The larger amount did.
Okay. So you can go.
I
major moves.
understand the reluctance but we've been spending through this fund for what, it's been 10 years, 12 years since, how long it's ever been? And that's the fund, if you want a rainy day fund, we have a rainy day fund. We have $10 million that we're supposed to, well, I don't know what we have in a rainy day fund. We should have that $10 million.
It's on there. It's on there.
I'm being sarcastic.
We're just, I know.
So
Should have known.
We have 9.4 million for those who are curious.
that money is our rainy day fund. I don't know what else purpose we would use, but
Okay.
And, any further?
If I may, I could probably just do the $642,007.06 out of major moves and take the rest of it out of major bridge if it pleases the council. That would leave that original $5 million in major moves.
So repeat that.
It's available to spend zero. That's a sheet we're looking at right now. There is no money in major.
So we already took the first payment out. Just.
All right. Major bridge, I'm showing 763,844.
He doesn't have the paper we have. He doesn't have. See, they didn't work their magic.
There's
on
some
there.
appropriations that go against it.
Yeah,
Mr. President, my motion still stands because we just don't have the accounts to move money around.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Councilman Novak,
Aye.
Councilman Karanka,
Aye.
Councilman Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilman Yagelski,
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham,
Nay.
Councilman Mullenhour,
Aye.
Councilman Keel.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We move on to Fair Management and Events Corporation, requesting additional appropriations from General Riverboat or Wind Tax or ARP to restroom facilities at the fairgrounds and for $350,000, and then 2023 improvements, $250,000. Would you come up and please explain to everybody? I know that we did receive something, but
Sean Fitzpatrick, Director of Facilities. And
Joy Ziegler, Director of FMEC.
so this is for a new restroom facility out at the fairgrounds. So one thing I would like to get support for is the amount of $450,000. It was posted as $350,000 because we had to have the agendas approved by the 7th, and the bids weren't open until the 23rd. And this we got a more accurate number of what the cost would be.
okay, we can only do 350,000 because that was advertised.
It would have to be a motion of support.
So it would have to be a motion of support for the other.
That's what he asked for. He asked for a
We asked
motion
for
of support.
motion of support for the whole thing,
Correct.
but then will we still be able to move forward and get it done in time for the fair?
I think so. Yeah.
That
Okay.
might be a question for the attorney.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
If we give a motion of support, are they able to move forward with the project, or do they actually need an appropriation?
No, yeah, you can move forward, but you can also appropriate the 350 and come back for the 100 at a later date. You've already advertised it, so.
What did the bids come back as?
In the 450 range. We're in around the 400 range with a little bit of contingency in it.
Just so that everybody knows, this bathroom facility is also gonna serve as a storm shelter out there, because right now the only storm shelter technically is the bathroom up in the community building. So by doing this, originally it was gonna be a pole barn building, and we could have saved approximately $50,000. But we decided to make it out of block and extend it and make it big enough, because this will be a year-round restroom, which is something we don't have out there anywhere. And it's gonna be big enough to handle everything. So,
So I know you had asked about how it was bidded out. So what they did was it was bidded out in 8 different sections. Each section, they took in 3 bids. We were trying to get this done in a timely fashion. Doug Beachy is the attorney on that, so that he was the one that opened up all the bids.
FMEC's
And then
attorney.
FMEC,
we'll oversee the project.
right, oversees the project, and then they work on the project together. The problem is one of the biggest problems we have is because we have to get this on the agenda by the 7th, and we don't actually have your meeting until the 27th. So there's like a 20-day lapse in there. And I believe that they opened the bids on the 23rd. So when we're opening up the bids, one of the things that they also said from FMEC, kind of like what I had overheard, was they took the lowest bid of every single contractor. And so there are 8 different contractors, and they've worked with 5 out of the 8 contractors. So 3 contractors are brand new contractors working with LaPorte County now. So unfortunately, that's where we're at. We're at 450. So I had said to them, come up and ask for support. I don't know if you want to go ahead and pass the 350,000 tonight and they come back for the other 100,000 later, or if you want to give us the support now. But in order to get this project up and running and have it done by Fair Day, we would really have to get it approved with support tonight.
And this replaces a restroom that was there that was absolutely in poor shape that had to be taken down.
And the having a bomb shelter is
Right.
kind of really, storm shelter is
Yeah,
really,
it's gonna
yeah,
say
not
you
bomb
for
shelter,
bomb.
storm shelter, yeah. Doomsday, guys, no. But that's really gonna be something nice on that end of the fairgrounds.
Being the fact that you're working with new contractors, is there any risk that some of the proposals don't meet the minimum expectations of the bid? Or has all that been vetted?
Well, I mean, that can happen working with regular vendors, right?
yeah.
I mean, something happens, that's always the roll of the dice and the chance that we take, but knowing that they, a lot of our vendors are right here from LaPorte, people that we work with on a daily basis, or people that we see in our grocery stores. I mean, this is the beautiful thing about LaPorte County, that we do use local people.
I guess to me, what I mean by that is, but for clarification, that the bid package actually has all the expectations that was sent out for.
Yes.
Okay.
And by itemizing it, we actually saved money if we'd have just gone out.
With the preferred vendors.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
I'd like
Yeah,
to
we
make
did
a
not use preferred vendors on this.
motion of support for the 350 this time. I'm not motion of support. Motion for the 350 out of ARP funds.
We have a motion for the 350 out of the ARP funds. We can do the support right after if we want to do that. So we need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
And there were multiple firms competing on each of the 8 sections.
Yes.
At least
It's my understanding that you did invite 8 different contractors, and then we got 3 bids for each one of the different pieces.
Yeah, there was
That's what
about
I understand.
15
15 even.
bids that came in.
Okay.
And I just want to clarify with the individuals who are involved with FMEC, this is viewed as a priority item that, I mean, this is coming from ARP. These funds will probably be gone by the end of the year. In the future, there might not be an opportunity for larger expenditures. Is this the priority that we see as being most important at the moment?
We have a representative here from
Oh, the
Fear
FMEC
Board.
too here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, she's talking
And,
about the.
yeah, but we have Fear Board here, and we also have someone from Pioneer Land.
This is a very high collaborative
Right.
effort, a project that would benefit, I think, every organization out there and everything that in the ground. So it'd be a huge improvement to the fairgrounds.
Okay, thank you.
Even right now, we have events that are coming up, and there are larger events, and they would want to utilize the restrooms, but we don't open the restrooms for another month or so, so they'll have to find other accommodations with
And it-
accessibility.
And it'll be a split face block, so it'll look nice.
Okay,
Okay, so
thank
we
you.
have, I'm sorry.
That's all.
We have a motion of support and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Motion to suspend, okay, yeah.
It was a motion
Motion to approve for the 350.
for the 350. So we're looking to appropriate 350,000.
Yes, sir. Councilman Yagowski?
Okay, what firm is that again?
ARP.
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 Aye.
Councilman Keel?
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham? Councilman Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Councilman Novak?
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour?
Aye.
Councilman Karanka?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Just a real quick question before you leave, if you don't mind, Mr. President.
They're not done yet, so, yeah.
I know, but for the 150, because it's used as a, not bomb shelter, you guys said, I'm sorry. You messed me up by saying bomb shelter, I apologize. As a storm shelter, could other funds be used I'm just thinking out of the box since we are really scrambling. So it's just a question I'm asking the council.
We're just doing a motion of support for the next one.
I could care less what we're doing. I'm asking a question.
Yeah, we can fund it from anywhere.
We have to advertise. I'm trying to ask a question. So is any open mics? Because we're at problems here every month here. We're gonna run out of boxes. The boxes are all checking out.
So just so you know that, the Fair Board, Pioneer Land, I think Draft Horse, and in all these organizations have agreed to offset some of the other costs that we have out there, so that we're not asking, instead of the next item is 250, that would have been probably in excess of 300,000 had these organizations not been stepping up and doing their things.
I mean, that's not part of my question. I have no problem with that. One more time. Every time we come up here, our boxes are getting less and less to be able to pick from. Is this gonna qualify for anything else? I'm just asking so that we advertise it, so there's not a problem on the next meeting.
And to tack onto that, I mean, we have 280 different sum funds that the county has. Are there any others besides the
Economic
10 or so
development.
here?
We'll still have riverboat, we'll still have wind tax.
Right,
we'll still have-
it's definitely an economic
More
development.
creative.
No, but I think what Mr. Yagowski was asking, I don't have the question, is because it's also gonna be used as a storm shelter, is there some special fund that we might be able to look at?
That was my question.
Thank you for clarifying.
We don't have a storm shelter fund.
Or something that would
I
qualify.
was being sarcastic.
I know.
I'm just messing with you.
All right, guys.
No, but definitely, we'll have to, committee will have to take a look at it.
We'll be reviewing it, and as you've seen on this list here that we've received, is uses of the funds next to it now, which we didn't have before, so that we can double check this entire list to see if we can spend the next 100,000 out of
Mr. President.
another place.
But Mr. President, I don't agree with you, but look, none, and none.
I hear your point.
Paper doesn't do me any good.
I think,
We were at the roll call point, please.
I thought we were
I
done.
think we voted.
We
on
did
the-
that. Okay, so then,
referendum.
so the next is, do we want to do a motion of support for 100,000? What is the council's pleasure?
Motion of support for next month for, put it on next month's agenda for $100,000.
We have a motion of support. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion of support and a second for $100,000. Any discussion? Since it's just support, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Hearing no nays, there's the vote. Okay, now we move on to the 2023 improvements for 250,000.
Right, which was submitted via email. I believe you guys all have a copy of that. And also included in that was the projects that were completed with the funds that were appropriated for last year. A lot of the projects that are on for this year are continuation, but do you have any questions on any of the information that we had sent?
And just for clarification, every dollar that the county council has appropriated for infrastructure improvements has gone to improvements. It doesn't go to personnel or anything like
Correct.
that. It all goes into, all the personnel are paid for out of the,
Rentals,
out of the,
out of the rentals.
out of rentals.
For the
Right.
grounds.
The income that we get off the, so.
Does the council typically get an annual financial report or something from FMEC, so we're aware of like how you guys are doing and growing your revenues?
Absolutely.
Just so we can be more supportive of those goals.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you?
This is our treasurer right here.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
We can have something.
Thank you.
So, moving, any other, we need a motion and where we would like to take.
Didn't we already do it?
No, for the
We
250.
did? Yeah, but from where?
Motion of support out of ARP.
We did, no,
For the 2023.
no, for the improvements. We're down to the improvements, so we need, to spend.
Thank you.
To approve this expenditure. And out of where, appropriation and where?
Motion to approve out of ARP.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second, is it? Mr. Conklin, second?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second for the $250,000 to come out of ARP money. Any further discussion?
Councilman?
Roll call, please.
Councilman?
Question.
We have a question, sorry.
I think we've adopted this in the past to make sure so we don't have any confusion because there's two account numbers for ARP. Our preference is always to spend it out of the one that is not lost revenue, because lost revenue gives us the greatest.
It's not gonna matter anymore. Everything that's left is lost.
Be maxed out.
Okay,
Yeah.
maxed out on the
Yep.
other one. So that account, so basically you can take that account number off this sheet in the future, correct?
I think so, yes, we could.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski,
Aye, excuse me.
Councilman Keel,
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour,
Aye.
Councilman Karanka,
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to the LaPorte County Juvenile Service Center, requesting additional appropriations from general CCD or public lit or wind tax or ARP. I have a camera to the back of the building to cover blind spots. This is something that was brought up before for $11,906.
Motion to approve out of lit.
Public safety.
Public safety.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please on the 11,906.
Councilman Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilman Keel,
Aye.
Councilman Karanka,
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour,
Aye.
Councilman Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski,
Aye.
Councilman Novak.
Aye.
Now for new computers, $7,892.85.
Apparently did look at that, Mr. President. She agreed that they needed new computers.
I'm sorry?
Apparently did look at that. She agrees that they need new computers.
They did go ask her for the,
I'm sorry, I'm just, okay,
so we're, okay.
sorry.
Similar to my comments about Parks Department, Darlene did break down that quite well, and I was appreciative to see that detail.
Thank you.
Where would you, is there a motion?
So I'm looking for a motion.
I'm looking to see what account.
Motion to approve out of wind tax.
Take it out.
All right.
Take it out.
Second.
Wind tax? Okay. I have a motion and a second. And a wind tax for $7,892.85. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilman Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilman Novak,
Aye.
Councilman Karanka,
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski,
Aye.
Councilman Keel,
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, while I'm up here, if I may, I want to echo everything Ms. Stallworth said and just remind the council that we did hear that we were going to have an answer in January and we're coming up on April. I just wanted to say that. And I'd also like to thank the other departments that have been supportive of us. Sheriff Heeg, whose deputies help us out all the time. Thank you, Sheriff. And Mr. Fitzpatrick, who's been out a lot to help us out with everything that we've got going on. And I want to thank Marika for being a good partner behind us when we've got some stuff going on back there. So thank you.
Go ahead.
May I?
Then I'll make a comment.
Can we look into, with the amount of money that they're generating now with these clients out there?
Sure.
Would it be possible to look at creating a non-reverting fund with some of those dollars because they need a new gym floor, they need some other things? Is that what you were gonna say?
No, I have two comments, but we already started looking into this and we are kind of on a holding pattern unless you've heard from somebody.
Sorry, you have to be a little,
Okay,
that was a little
we-
stealth.
okay,
Sometimes
so-
I get old. I got a lot of.
So we
things
started
in-
this discussion 2 months ago about putting together a non-reverting fund for the JSC. And you had sent an email off to their director, and we were waiting on response to a couple of answers, a couple of questions. And so I do not believe that we've heard back yet.
I don't recall that. If I did, I must have dropped the ball then.
Okay.
I know that
Still has the
at one time we were looking at the issue with the commissary fund for community correction, but I don't.
Okay, so if we can start looking into
Yeah.
that again,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely.
And then we can talk about it in a couple of weeks before our next meeting.
If I
Thank
dropped
you.
the ball, I apologize.
Also, I'd like to make a comment that I did meet with your group. I did tell them that this is a very complex issue, that the answer cannot be done in a quick meeting or two. We have an issue that we have this whole big, long process with our descriptions, job descriptions. So if we give somebody at a certain level, everybody at that level gets it. So we've been trying to get answers from HR. We've talked to them about it. It's a lot more detailed than that. It's not easy. That's why we have this committee going, and we're going to be looking at a lot of details. You're not the only department that we're looking to work on some things for, and we hear you loud and clear, and we're very supportive of you loud and clear. But I've said that right back at you. So
Yes, sir.
I do not have any problem anybody mentioning it, reminding us, but I just want to make sure that it was explained very clearly that this is not a quick process. My time of the year is now. It frees up next month. And it starts, and then it's easy going for the rest of the year. So we will do our best to get on it as fast as possible. But this is much more complex the more we look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the auditor for requesting additional appropriation from either general, public safety lit, or ARP for the raises that were approved from the budget hearings for the poll positions. Now, what happens is this money should be coming out of our public safety lit, and where I would recommend that this would come from. And the thing is that since we did not have any money to start the year, we just couldn't do a budget like we do in all the other normal places. So what we're trying to do is play a little catch up with the safety lit. The 700,000 approximately covers 2 months worth of the salaries, of the increases. And so I'm looking for what the council would like to do. And we do receive 600 and something $1,000.
$650.
President,
Yes,
are you sure that all the poll positions are in public safety?
I would,
All of them?
Isn't poll stand the LE at the end of it for law enforcement?
it's,
PO, I know.
Because they have poll position, don't you have poll positions out there too? They got them at community corrections and at
Yeah.
juvenile.
So I think it's,
Be eligible.
I think the poll, the PLE is for law enforcement.
they're all
Yeah.
eligible, and that's where the number comes from, all of them.
Thank you.
What would the council like to do?
So if we take this 700,000, we appropriate this 700,000 out of the lit, we'll have $75,000 left in there.
Until we get the next tranche.
Until next,
Until next month.
I get that.
But you appropriate some already.
You've already appropriated 11 and
But
change,
we've already,
something like that, right?
50,000 would be left until the next deposit.
Kind of curiosity, the $700,000 figure is very round and squeaky clean. Is there any particular reason for that?
Yes. Because that's what I thought we'd have left over after we spent any other money.
Okay.
And I wanted to put as much as possible towards it. The amount of money of it for the entire year is over $3 million. So we're just trying to play catch up. And because it's not a fund that you start off with the money where you're sitting with it, we just can't say, okay, from the beginning of the year, we're going to spend it here, there, and everywhere. So as it builds, we spend it. And we're going to keep doing this almost the entire year before we start seeing anything left in it, if we see anything left in it at all.
Hey, that's a solid reason. Just wondered.
Can I ask a
Yes.
quick question? How'd you pay this the first 2 months? I think everybody got paid. What
it
account did it?
hasn't, it has never been appropriated yet, so what they're being paid is from their budgets.
General, right? Some of it's, some
Keep
of
doing
it,
that.
some of it's still being paid, they still get some from the general. So that can be funded from there first. And the lit was, I believe they're primarily the raises. I mean, they're not the entirety of their salary is coming from public safety lit. There's still some that's being funded from the general, so that's going more from the general.
What you just made is exactly why I'm confused, because we started collecting public safety lit money in the last quarter of 22, correct?
So we don't have to.
No, we got our first public safety.
Well, no, we started charging the taxpayers
In October.
22.
It's October. We got
October, November, December. So we should have had a deposit in January or February, correct?
but they only pay you a month at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
They I would say they hoard something.
Well, they sit on it for 2 months.
Sit on it, yeah.
Okay, so approximately 1.2 million then is in arrears from what they've already collected.
That's true.
Where is that at? Where does that show on our paperwork
At the end
anywhere?
of, at the end of and the time, because it's always gonna be in there.
I may be dead before the end of time. That's my concern. Do we have an imaginary number in your system where you know how much they owe us
Well,
today?
it's 3 months worth, so I mean.
1.8 million.
55,
Monthly amount multiplied by 3, right? I mean,
That's,
1.8.
okay. That would be helpful to see on this sheet as well.
it's phantom
The
money.
1.8
I'm not sure.
million
I don't think you want to see the amount, with all due respect, Councilman.
600.
I don't know if you want to see amount that'll never be accessible.
Well, I'm gonna make it real clear.
Okay, John.
Yeah. Between now and our next meeting, if the 3 people on our committee don't get together with you 2 people, and I look at a sheet like this, I'm gonna vote nay on every appropriation. If I don't have a better understanding of our funds between now and April's meeting,
Okay.
and if I were in your shoes, I would add a column here that says 1.8 million that we know has been appropriated from the state to come to us in a sense. That's what you're telling me. They're behind 3 months.
Yeah, but I don't think you never catch up with that 1.8, Mr. Cunningham, unless it's the, you know what I mean, unless you stop it and eventually it comes.
I think that'd be confusing, that's all, but we certainly hear you on the first part of it.
Trust me, I couldn't be any more confused than I am with these 2 sheets. Thank you.
And the committee is planning, we talked to Rhonda today about getting together with her, so.
Yes, Mr. Yagowski, please.
I agree. I agreed last month when this conversation came, but last month, this is what I brought up at the beginning of our meeting. What are we voting for when we don't know where our money's at? I know this can't be your problem. This has to be the problem of a lot more than that. Ask some other people that have been in this office. If you guys need help, ask some, because the general fund, whatever's left over from every department goes back into the general fund. I don't see that for January. This can't be you're walking into a situation. Let's ask for help. We've got a great group of people. Let's ask for help.
Well, we have talked to the former auditor, and what the number that she gave you was that it was negative what?
4 million,
Negative 4 million in the general fund.
which is what it shows on the computer.
But okay, but where did that come from? Because in December, we had money in there. So that's the problem. It's, if she said it's right, then maybe she is right. I don't know. But in December, when we made these raises here, we already had money that were in the account. There wasn't no negative $4 million.
Bless you.
Some of you have been here long enough to know, or some of you guys seen, we did not have a negative $4 million when we gave the raises away. I know you can look back, because you weren't here, of course, but look back to the paperwork.
I can't speak for that, but what I can speak for is the difference from December till January even, which we saw last month when we were talking about lit, the regular lit economic development, where they showed December 3.8 million, and then I showed 500,000. The difference is in December, 12 months of money has been deposited, and the things that were appropriated were spent or unused, so then they come back in. But come January, it starts the budget over, and yet the whole year is appropriated out. So in December, the appropriations are used and all the monies come in. For lit economic development right now, only 150,000-ish, whatever that number times 3 is, has come in, but yet all of it has been appropriated out. So January will always look different from December because the appropriations for the year are made.
That's absolutely true. None of us is even surprised. But the last month's meeting, that was not the case. This so brought up. But again, when we were given these, again, look back at the reference points from the person that did your job before. He'd be glad to help you out, and not that he did not have a negative $4 million when we appropriated raises. So
I can't speak for it.
So pulling this back to what the council would like to do on this, are we looking to make a motion? Are we looking to table? Are we looking to pass? What would the council like?
my motion is to table till next month. You found a way to pay for the first 2 months. I guess we tabled for another 1 month until I get some numbers.
So we have a motion to
Second.
table, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Was that a nay or an aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Wanted to be 100% sure.
And to be clear, I don't think that this is jeopardizing the plans in the future to transfer this, but it's just momentary.
Just so we get some numbers.
Okay, we move on to the request for additional appropriation from General Riverboat Wind Tax, or ARP, for legal fees for $10,000.
This is, if I may speak to this,
You go up there.
Yeah.
Would you please go up there, Mr. President, if I don't mind?
No, we're okay.
It's easier for me to see on power. Thank you.
Good evening again, Councilman. This is a return of an item that dates back actually to last summer, where there was a motion of support given by the council that was unanimous. A motion of support. This is regarding the billing disputes between my office and one of the outside vendor law firms. A motion was made to table along with a motion of support with the intent the auditor is not eating the cost personally, and that the auditor's attorney be paid, made by Mr. Cunningham, second by Mr. Gelsey. All members voted in favor. There is a bill that dates back to the beginning of this year for 9610. It's a not to exceed 10,000 from the attorney that's been representing me. I know it's been an expression to the council, at least certainly the previous council, to bring the bills current of Mr. Friedman is who this relates to, Friedman Associates, and they are current, those bills. There's one bill, the most recent one on my desk to be reviewed. So I'm bringing this back and asking for the appropriation, your consideration.
Mr. Novak?
My recollection of the vote of support was if you won your lawsuit and we owed the money, that we're good for it. I don't remember. Why would we table the amount and do a vote of support if our intention was to pay for it?
Yeah, it was tabled at the time, and I got the minutes here, I'm going to read more of it, but it was tabled at the time because there was a motion to dismiss the suit. There was an expectation it would be dismissed. The judge instead decided to hear evidence, and so now there's been an evidentiary part that's gone on, and these are the fees. We thought there'd be a quick dismissal. Dismissal could have resulted, and may very well have resulted, in Mr. Friedman's firm paying the legal fees, and then there would be no legal fees to the county. This unfortunately has been something where the judge decided to receive. There's been no in-court testimony, but there's been discovery in the case, and so there is a. So that's why here you were waiting to hear at the time whether it was going to be dismissed. We hoped and thought it would be dismissed, but she decided to go in a different direction. So I don't know. Hopefully that answers the question.
Mr. Yagowski?
I know there's you okay with this, Tim?
Well, I'm just going to maybe give you a little bit more, that's all.
Sure, go ahead, I'll wait for you.
Mrs. Grammarosa added that Mr. Stables' legal fees to his attorney would still need to be paid. Well, Mr. Novak asked why 10,000 would be appropriate for a hypothetical situation. That was prior to a bill coming. There's a bill here that is for the last 6 months of last year, from mid-June to the end of the year, that was provided in January. Mr. Stables recommended that if the case was dismissed, that the council pay the bill upwards of a certain amount. Decided instead to wait. It wasn't dismissed. I guess it still could eventually be dismissed, but in the meantime, we got a bill from an attorney who wants to be paid from January 3rd. So
for how much, Mr. Staples?
$96.10.
$9,610.
Yeah.
So part of that discussion was, and you and I are very familiar with this, was that we would catch up on the bills that were not in question. But you still haven't paid the bill from December 15th. That was 3 months ago, where you took out deductions on that already. So those are not in question.
All the bills except one have been authorized to be paid with certain deductions. There's one bill on my desk that is a current billing that I will be going. There's one bill on my desk. All the other bills have been cleared out.
December 15th.
So, I mean, it needs to go before, December 15th needs to go before the commission still, but it's out of my hands. My claims clerk has it. It's going to be on the next commission agenda.
So you're okay if the commissioner's okay and pay it? December 15th. It's out of your hands, you're done?
Yeah.
So that bill will be paid?
That bill is authorized to be paid, yes.
All the bills are current then?
There's one bill on my desk, as stated.
That's what, December 15th, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, it's not December 15th. It's a February bill that's on my desk.
Okay, he billed something in February?
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm talking about December. So those bills will come in front of the commissioners. You're okay with everything except for right now that one, and something will be done by that point, right?
I'm sorry.
By the time the commissioners meeting, you'll have that taken care of.
Which one?
The January or February one.
The one's on my desk. Is there a meeting next week?
I
Or
don't
is it the week after?
I don't go to the commissioners meetings.
It's next week,
It's next Wednesday.
next Wednesday. We can,
I would say so, yeah. It's a week from 9 days.
What are we doing about, because this has to do with the whole conversation. What are we doing with the, restoring the council's, the county's, credit rating? You know, Ms. Stables, because of the billing we talked about, and that came up during the same meeting, are you back with working with the state? Are we going to get our credit rating back? What's going on with that?
Well, the status of the credit rating is because we had our credit rating withdrawn. The lion's share of the reason, or really almost the exclusive reason, was because of the imbalances in the cash. So that's something that
What cash? I'm sorry, sir.
the treasurer's office, and this is really, in fairness to the current treasurer, this dates back to the prior treasurer. So, this dates back to, the current treasurer got our 2019 cash balance. Keep in mind, she only took office January of 2021. But the pulling of our bond rating has everything to do with the fact that if the auditors, which in this case is the State Board of Accounts, cannot certify our cash, and we're still in the process of balancing the 2020 cash, then people that buy our bonds, or would buy our bonds, fortunately we're not going to the market currently, don't have enough confidence, don't have a basis for confidence, and the bond rating agency, S&P Global, pulled our rating. So really the focus needs to be on bringing the cash current, and balancing the cash. And I know that Treasurer Winsky's been working very hard to do that. She's been working with SEH, Damon Suklis from SEH, who our office uses for budgeting. We have a lot of respect for them, but it's kind of out of the hands of the auditor's office.
Okay, because we had
bond rating.
We had an A triple plus rating prior to this, because when we were going to go for that bond.
Yeah.
Myself, Randy, you were at that meeting. We were rated A triple plus rating on that.
Yeah.
We went from A triple rating to getting pulled.
Yeah.
So you're saying it all deals with just that one individual that didn't pay some bills?
Sorry?
You say it's all because one individual didn't pay some bills that we lost our rating?
No, I'm saying that unfortunately the treasurer's office under the former treasurer lost an employee who was taking care of cash, and because of, I think, my opinion is, from what I understand, because of personnel issues, that it went out of balance cash dating back to 2018, 2019. And the current treasurer, I defer to the current treasurer to explain it, but she's been working very hard to bring it to balance, and it's very involved, and it involves forensic accounting and a lot of going back. Now there's again, she can speak to it, but
it had nothing to do with not paying a payment on time.
That's correct. It had nothing to do with the 1 day late bond payment that my office had. Let's be direct about this.
No, I asked the question.
Let's be direct about it. It had nothing to do.
You can be direct all you want. I'm only asking questions.
I'm
direct all you want.
I'm happy to answer the question directly. I think being honest is appropriate. We had, it had nothing to do with the 1 day late bond payment. No, it did not.
All right.
It didn't have.
yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
The 2019 financial statements have been filed with the state, correct?
Correct.
2020 financial statements, I thought those were also submitted, or maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, the 2020 cash hasn't been balanced yet.
Okay,
I
so
believe
then that can't be.
Very close.
Okay, and then we should be up to 22.
We do not have a 2020 audit report from the state of Board of Accounts
And
yet.
we've already worked on 21 and 22, so that we can go back to back to back, am I correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
May I ask one question just to clarify this attorney fee issue? Mr. Stabos, what's at issue in the current case, and if everything's paid, is it going to be over or what's currently the dollar value at issue in the case?
Well, I don't have that right in front of me, but this would be the disputed billing items where adequate documentation wasn't provided.
Is it like more than the $10,000 of the bill, or is it less? Or anything
I don't
like that?
have the exact amount in front. I can get that number.
Do you have a rough idea of when this billing was through? What dates are covered in this?
Well, there was a settlement agreement that went all the way through the end of 2021. So this would be essentially for the entirety of calendar year 2022, dating back into mid-December, because the settlement agreement was only as of mid-December. So it's essentially 2022.
So these are the billings through mid-December that you're seeking
These
approval
are
for.
the billings throughout essentially the entirety of 2022, all 12 months, where there were certain disputed items. Sometimes it ranged $200 a month, sometimes it ranged $2,000 a month.
Would it be possible for us to see the bill so we could look at the bill? I'm just saying,
Yeah.
well, you're asking us to pay your bill, but yet you scrutinize other attorneys' bills, and you're asking us to pay a bill.
Oh, that bill, sure. I thought
We don't, I mean, I haven't seen it, I haven't even,
Sure.
so you told us a dollar amount, we didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I've got it right here. Well, so we can run it off and
Thank you. Yeah,
do you want to
then we can take a look at it.
table us at the end of the meeting or whatever the council's pleasure
I'd
is?
make a motion to table for this meeting. Till next month.
Before it's tabled, well, never mind. I had a question too.
Second.
Motion to table.
We have a motion.
I couldn't hear everything.
I'm going to suggest that you follow up with whatever question you have with the auditor. So we have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Any nays? Okay, it's tabled. Thank you.
I will get you this information. Is there any other information? If there's any other information you want, please let me know.
Okay.
Mr. Stables, it doesn't matter, you keep going, sit down. Mr. Stables, would you please also get the information on the bills paid? So we know that when we make the motion, because that was part of my agreement, that all the bills will be paid as current. Except for disputed items, which we understand.
Okay, can we talk offline to explain
Anytime.
what you're looking for?
Okay, we're going to talk about that tomorrow with him.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. LaPorte County Adult Probation Department. Now, Steve Irick couldn't be here. He was also ill. I don't know if he's out there. I don't see him.
I am.
You are. There you are. Good. Requesting to spend from probation user fees for scanner, computer, and software. This is for Judge Thorne. There's supervisor administrative stipend for 2 officers. There's an authorized stipend to pay for 2 officers, $5,000 for the year, and this is a spread out payment. And then this is the perf and all the taxes that would be withheld on those payments. And since it's a motion to spend from his fund, we don't need a roll call, so.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those, any questions and discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
LaPorte County Maintenance Facilities requesting to spend from general lit public safety, ARP, for 1 boiler for community corrections and 1 boiler for juvenile service center, not to exceed $68,000. And I'm also gonna, might as well do it, throw it in, the hot water storage tank and piping for juvenile services center, $29,200.
Mr. President, may I
Yes,
speak first? So on the agenda, it says a request to spend. It's an appropriation and it was advertised as an appropriation, just to clarify.
thank you. So it's requesting to appropriate from either of those funds.
Just for point of order, I had a conversation with Sean earlier. And if we delayed this a month, would it be possible to take it out of the emergency reserve fund? Since I think there was talk about declaring an emergency on this.
So this is, I know that there was an emergency declaration. I didn't know the underlying facts. I just looked at it as to form when I know that the council, that the council president and the commission president signed it. I don't know the underlying facts. We're already 2 months into it. How is it an emergency? I don't know. That would have to be answered. And then you would have to, it's an emergency, you all would have to vote it as a supermajority, you would need 5 of 7 votes.
But if the council deems it an emergency,
The council.
it doesn't have to have a declaration.
But it was already deemed an emergency,
Okay.
wasn't it?
Yes.
Did you sign that?
Yeah, we thought that this was gonna have to happen immediately.
Told that.
and that's what I was told.
We were told,
But it hasn't
I
done.
didn't think, I'm sorry, Mr.
Well, because one place they have 3 boilers,
So yeah,
they're
just
down to 1.
yeah. So for just so everyone understands, so for community corrections, the building was set up with 3 boilers. 2 of them are gone. Only one exists now, and it's the same age as the other 2 that failed. So if it fails, they'll be out without hot water. In the juvenile services center, there is a water storage tank that is leaking and will probably rupture at any point. And the boiler is the same age, and the heat exchange is going out on it. If that water tank ruptures, it's gonna damage all of the major electrical infrastructure in that mechanical room as well as the surrounding rooms.
So I'd make a motion. Go
Let
ahead.
me just, before you make a motion, I guess I just need some clarification. Did you mention earlier that the stuff has already been ordered?
Correct, because of the lead time, these were items that were
So even, you still have to wait for, you have to wait.
they've already been ordered and
Right, but you still have to wait for delivery.
Correct.
So isn't this just more appropriate to come out of lit? I mean, why even bridge that gap or somebody? Yeah, public safety. Why even?
Yeah, we didn't spend it.
Emergency is emergency. When we looked at the emergency regarding the grandstands, it was public safety. And we don't have them all failing right now, so I'm just concerned. I just think it would be a better route to appropriate it under public safety lit. It's just my view. I'm not saying.
Currently tonight, and I know next month we'll have more money deposited, but we're spending money we don't have in our hand.
Well, you didn't appropriate the 700,000.
Yeah, so we're good.
Oh, I do. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so
All right.
I think you have
Motion to
plenty of-
approve out of lit.
Second.
Public
Motion
safety,
and a second. Any further discussion?
public safety lit?
Mr.
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, could you elaborate on, you have a budget for maintenance items right now. Is there insufficient funds in there to cover these 2 purchases?
Probably no, because these are major expenses that were not budgeted for. This is over $100,000 that was not slated to be spent for this purpose.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
But I think Mr. Keel's question was a little bit different. Mr. Keel's question was, do you have enough, if you got the bill tomorrow and you had to pay it, you have money to do it, you'd have to come back for appropriation and replenish those
Correct.
monies.
Right.
Okay, so that, yeah,
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, I just,
So any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, roll call, please.
Councilman Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilman Novak,
Aye.
Councilman Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilman Mullenhour,
Aye.
Councilman Yagowski,
aye.
Councilman Keel,
Aye.
Councilman Karanka.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now come to council attorney comments. I'm gonna go to the right. Mr. Cunningham, do you have any comments?
I've spoken enough, but I would like to thank Mr. DiMartino for his legal guidance.
Okay, Mr. Yagowski?
Gotta turn your mic on. They didn't hear that, Earl.
They got really loud, Earl.
So I think I've been outspoken enough, but I would like to thank Mr. DiMartino for his legal guidance.
You're welcome.
Mr. Yagowski, any comments?
Yeah, commissioners, you have to put the word out here. I mean, there's a lot of departments come up here already today. Projects, future projects. Right now, we don't have the money. We don't seriously look at this and address it properly. We had the money when we appropriated the money for raises, but now we don't. So that'll be all figured out, I understand. But this is not gonna be a large project year right now. We're gonna have to take a look at all these departments that have stuff, and that's not, I know that Sean, you're into a new area and you're gonna try to get, but we're gonna be looking at not spending that much money. That's just the facts of life here. Unless somebody has some magic pill here, and these deposits are not gonna be enough to run us through the rest of this year. Thank you.
Mr. Gill?
This comment's directed to Ms. Graves. I just want you to know, please don't take our frustration as being directed at you personally. I know you have an exceptionally difficult job. Know that it's difficult for us to make good decisions without having good information, but I am confident that you will rise to the challenge over the next month in getting us the info that we're looking for. So thank you.
I'm going to go to Mr. Mullenhour. If he'd like to make any comments?
No, I don't have any at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Novak?
I just want to echo at the beginning of the meeting, we took a moment of silence for Richard Stallbrink Sr. Rich, if anybody knew him, He was a great guy, 29 years in the military, 30 plus years in the state trooper, and then he did 10 years at the LaPorte School Corporation. But he was just an absolute fantastic person, a dear friend, and I know to a lot of people, and he'd be dearly missed. So condolences to his family.
Mr. Karanka?
Following that, I have none.
It's hard to follow comments like that, but
And don't.
a couple of things. We do have a certain time period of which to get information into the council, to the auditor's office and the council. If you're making it as a department head, and if you're making information, sending in information for appropriations, please copy me on it as well. The more I know, the faster and easier it is to get onto the out on appropriations, because sometimes we miss the boat on the appropriations, and we're trying not to, but we have to do this. So sometimes we have to think almost 2 months in advance and start really planning some of the stuff. You've heard from Mr. Yagelski about how what's available is starting to really slow down. So that's also key. So getting things on the agenda, that also means the detail. And some of you hear we get a request for appropriations, but then we don't get the detail till just before the meeting. We have to call it like a week or 8 days before and say, no, it can't be on the agenda unless we have time to digest it, ask questions, etc. So any help that you can do to help us there, I really appreciate it. The more information, I mean, some departments have really learned, and there's some new people who are learning, and we're starting to see better and better information. It just makes it easier for us to push and things like that. There's a couple of things that got left off of this month's agenda. They will get on next month's agenda. So we do appreciate that. I'm not going to get into a fight with IT over stuff. I will tell you, I match things spec to spec. I just don't say, oh, this is a model number. No, I matched it to the exact spec and detail. I will research the Windows, Microsoft Windows. I will be at my headquarters and I will meet with somebody pretty high up in our IT department, and I will get the answers that I'm thinking that I need to get, because I wasn't getting them when I was asking of our IT director. So we will continue to work on that, and we will continue to work with the IT director. We did ask the IT director a couple times to make sure that we have the number of computers, what we have in the county, and that who has what computer. We haven't seen the list. I don't even know that it even exists. So the other thing is, we've also spoke about, but nobody cares to mention, I've also asked the data is to make sure that we go through, and if there's any Windows 7 machines, we get rid of them. I was never talking about buying without going through. We've never talked about without going through IT to get computers, getting specs and all that. We respect them. We always wanted to do that. My concern is about what is the best price. I will revisit with everybody else about whether we do it locally or not. We'd love to give it to the people here locally, but then match some of the other prices it's possible to match. So we do appreciate that. I mean, we've had 2 people come up today complain about $17,000. Forgive me if I'm saying complain, making a point about $17,000 to spend it or not spend it. Every dollar counts. So I'm not trying to pick on anybody. It's just that I'm trying to find every way also, like everybody else here. Let's find ways to crimp, save, and go from there. Thank you for being here this late. We do appreciate getting an update on what's going on in the annex. A lot of people see stuff that goes out of the building. I've had to answer questions. I've been able to get answers from people. Appreciate that. It just is so much better when you have information that you can relay. I think that's attorney. Any comments?
I did send Ms. Salwarka email 2 months ago that you told me to do. I'll look for that email and find out how come she didn't respond. I did remember.
I did remember seeing it. That's why I
need to collect it.
asked. Okay, with that.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.